Good evening, everyone. We often talk about generations, baby boomers, Gen X, millennials, Gen Z, and how different they are. We see the differences in the way they think, the way they work, and the way they live. Sometimes these differences lead to misunderstanding, frustration, and even conflict. We assume that these gaps are impossible to bridge, that they're simply part of the natural order of things. But what if I told you that the key to bridging these gaps isn't about changing anyone? It's about understanding each other and, more importantly, trusting each other. Each generation grows up with a unique set of circumstances that shape their worldview, values, and expectations. To truly bridge the generational gap, it's essential to understand that these differences are not just superficial or trivial. They run deep and are deeply rooted in the time, place, and context in which each generation lives. The world that boomers experienced was different from that of Gen X, and Gen Z has a completely different perspective from the millennials. These differences, while often viewed as challenges in communication, are not insurmountable barriers. They are simply reflections of the varied experiences that have defined each generation. Understanding these distinct perspectives is the first step toward bridging any generational gap. The baby boomer generation grew up in a time of relative stability. For many, the world seemed more predictable, and the notion of career and success was deeply tied to long-term commitment and loyalty. People were raised in a culture where work was central to identity, and most people expected to spend their entire careers in the same job or industry. Financial stability, owning a home, and raising a family were central aspirations, often tied to a clear, linear path towards success. In the media, the American dream was portrayed as a tangible reality that could be achieved through hard work and perseverance. The world was more hierarchical, and communication was less instantaneous. News and information traveled more slowly, and the relationship between people and technology was much more indirect. Gen X, on the other hand, came of age during a time when the world began to shift. The economic stability that many baby boomers had relied on began to crumble. The world became less predictable. And Gen Xers saw firsthand the decline of many of the systems that their parents had relied on, such as job security and stable housing. As technology began to creep into daily life, Gen X also witnessed the rise of the digital revolution, but they were still rooted in an analog world. They had one foot in both worlds, adapting to a rapidly changing environment that was filled with both opportunities and uncertainty. They were often dubbed the latchkey generation because many grew up with both parents working, leading them to become self-reliant and resourceful. They learned to adapt quickly to changing circumstances, developing a resilience that would serve them throughout their lives. Millennials, in contrast, entered a world that was even more connected and technology-driven. They witnessed the rise of the internet, social media, and the globalized economy. This generation grew up in a world where instant communication was a given, and the world seemed to be both bigger and smaller at the same time. While they were promised a world of limitless opportunity, they also faced the realities of economic instability, rising student debt, and an uncertain job market. Many millennials were told that they could be anything, but the opportunities available to them did not always match the expectations set by society. This disconnect between the promise and the reality created a sense of frustration for many, but also a deep sense of adaptability. Millennials are known for their ability to embrace change and to find new ways of doing things, especially when the traditional systems they grew up with did not serve their needs. Then there is Gen Z, the first generation to grow up entirely immersed in the digital age. Unlike the previous generations, they were born into a world where the internet, smartphones, and social media were already ubiquitous. They've never known a world without constant connectivity. They have experienced global events like the 2008 financial crisis and the COVID-19 pandemic, both of which have shaped their view of the world. For Gen Z, the world is more unpredictable than ever, and the future feels uncertain. While they have access to vast amounts of information at their fingertips, they also face unprecedented levels of pressure, from the constant bombardment of social media to the financial challenges of student debt and the housing market. They've grown up seeing the failures of the systems that the previous generations relied on and are now looking for new ways to navigate the world. What's clear from these generational differences is that the world each generation grew up in shapes not just what they believe is possible, but how they think about the future, how they approach work, and how they communicate with others. Each generation carries its own set of assumptions, formed by the world in which they were raised. What may seem like a lack of respect for authority to a boomer might be seen as a rejection of outdated systems by a millennial. What one generation sees as a time of great opportunity, another may view as a period of uncertainty and change. The key to bridging these generational gaps is to first acknowledge that these differences are rooted in lived experience. It's not about one generation being right and the other wrong. It's about understanding that each generation has experienced the world in a unique way. When we stop judging other generations based on our own assumptions and start listening to their stories and understanding their experiences, we open the door to empathy. It is only by recognizing that every generation sees the world through its own lens, shaped by its time, that we can begin to truly understand the root of the divide between them. Understanding through perspective isn't just about listening to someone else's viewpoint. It's about genuinely making the effort to step into their world, to see things from their vantage point, and to acknowledge the impact of their unique experiences on the way they think and act. When we do this, the differences between generations cease to be barriers. Instead, they become opportunities to learn from each other, to grow together, and to build a future that is stronger because of our shared understanding. Listening with intent is more than just hearing words. It is about truly understanding the meaning behind those words and the experiences that inform them. In a world filled with constant distractions, where we are often juggling multiple conversations at once, we have become increasingly adept at hearing without truly listening. This becomes especially evident when trying to bridge generational gaps, where assumptions and misunderstandings can easily arise. Listening with intent, however, requires more than just attentiveness. It demands a shift in mindset, a willingness to be open and vulnerable, and a conscious effort to set aside our own biases in order to understand the perspective of another. To listen with intent is to fully engage in the act of hearing, not as a passive recipient, but as an active participant in the conversation. It is about being present in both body and mind. This means putting away distractions, maintaining eye contact, and offering verbal and nonverbal cues that show you are tuned into the speaker's words. It means focusing not just on the content of the message, but also on the emotion and intent behind it. When we listen with intent, we are acknowledging that the person speaking has something of value to share. This act of recognition is often the first step toward building trust and understanding. Listening with intent means setting aside these assumptions. It requires recognizing that each generation's beliefs are shaped by the world they grew up in and the challenges they faced. A boomer might have grown up in a time of economic prosperity and stability, where the focus was on working hard to achieve long-term goals. In contrast, a millennial might have entered the workforce during the Great Recession, facing job insecurity and rising debt, which has influenced their desire for work-life balance and meaningful careers. Both generations have valid perspectives shaped by their unique circumstances, and it is through listening with intent that we can begin to appreciate these differences and find common ground. When we listen with intent, we are not simply waiting for our turn to speak. Instead, we are actively seeking to understand the speaker's point of view. This requires a deep level of empathy and curiosity, as well as a willingness to ask questions and probe for deeper understanding. It means asking ourselves, what is this person trying to tell me? What experiences have shaped their view of the world? It also means being patient, as understanding often takes time. When we listen with intent, we give others the space to share their stories, and in doing so, we begin to unravel the complexities of their beliefs, values, and perspectives. Listening with intent also requires an openness to change. It is not just about hearing another person's perspective. It is about being willing to let that perspective challenge our own views and broaden our understanding. When we listen with intent, we acknowledge that we don't have all the answers, and that the perspectives of others have something valuable to offer. This openness is crucial when working across generational lines, where the temptation may be strong to dismiss another generation's perspective as outdated or irrelevant. By listening with intent, we make room for the wisdom of the past while embracing the innovations of the future. One of the most important aspects of listening with intent is the willingness to engage in difficult conversations. Bridging generational gaps requires confronting difficult issues, whether it's the role of technology in the workplace, the future of education, or differing opinions on work ethic and personal responsibility. These conversations can be uncomfortable as they often challenge deeply held beliefs and values. However, it is through these conversations that true understanding is forged. Listening with intent allows us to navigate these difficult conversations with respect and empathy rather than defensiveness or judgment. It allows us to move beyond surface-level disagreements and into the heart of the issue, where real understanding can take place. Listening with intent also plays a crucial role in building trust. Trust is the cornerstone of any successful relationship, whether personal or professional. When we listen to others with genuine interest and empathy, we show them that we value their perspective. This, in turn, fosters a sense of respect and mutual understanding, which are essential for building trust. Without trust, communication becomes transactional rather than relational, and the gaps between generations remain wide and difficult to bridge. In a world that is increasingly polarized and divided, listening with intent is more important than ever. It is a skill that has the power to transform relationships, to break down barriers, and to create deeper, more meaningful connections. Listening with intent helps us to move beyond the noise and distraction of daily life, allowing us to connect with others on a deeper level. When we take the time to listen not just to the words, but to the experiences and emotions behind them, we open ourselves up to the possibility of true understanding. Through this process, we can begin to bridge the generational gaps that divide us, creating a more connected and empathetic world. Trust is the foundation of every meaningful relationship, whether personal or professional. It's what allows individuals to connect, communicate openly, and work together toward a common goal. Without trust, even the most well-intentioned efforts to collaborate or understand each other fall flat. This is especially true when it comes to bridging generational gaps. Each generation brings its own values, experiences, and perspectives to the table. And if trust is not established, these differences can easily become sources of tension and misunderstanding. When trust is present, however, it acts as a powerful catalyst for connection, growth, and cooperation. The importance of trust in bridging generational gaps cannot be overstated. Generations are shaped by the world they live in, and their perspectives are often influenced by the events, cultural shifts, and technological advancements they experienced as they came of age. These differences can create friction, as each generation often views the world through its own lens, which can lead to misunderstandings or assumptions about the intentions and motivations of others. Without trust, these differences can escalate into conflict, as each generation might believe that its way of thinking or doing things is the only right one. Trust, then, becomes the key to unlocking the potential for collaboration, allowing individuals from different generations to share their ideas, learn from each other, and find common ground. Building trust across generations begins with the recognition that no one's perspective is inherently superior to another's. Each generation has a unique story shaped by its own set of circumstances. For example, baby boomers grew up in an era of relative stability, where hard work and dedication were often the key to success. Gen X, on the other hand, came of age during a time of economic uncertainty and technological change, which led to a more skeptical, independent outlook. Millennials, raised during the rise of the digital age, value flexibility and work-life balance, but they have also faced their own set of challenges, including rising student debt and a volatile job market. Gen Z, the youngest generation, is entering a world that is more connected and fast-paced than ever, with new challenges related to mental health, economic instability, and the rapid pace of technological change. Each generation's experiences shape their worldview, but none of these experiences are inherently more valuable than the others. Trust begins when we acknowledge that each generation's perspective is valid, and that learning from one another can lead to a richer, more well-rounded understanding of the world. Trust also requires vulnerability. It's not enough to simply acknowledge that other generations have valuable perspectives. We must be willing to open ourselves up to those perspectives and allow ourselves to be changed by them. This is where many people struggle when it comes to bridging generational gaps. People often hold on tightly to their beliefs, especially when those beliefs have been shaped by years of experience and personal history. The fear of being misunderstood or invalidated can make individuals hesitant to engage with other generations, as they fear their perspectives will be dismissed or even ridiculed. However, the act of trusting others enough to listen and learn from them requires a degree of vulnerability. We must be willing to admit that we don't have all the answers, and that there is wisdom in the experiences of others, regardless of their age. When we show that we are open to learning, we create an environment where trust can flourish. In the workplace, building trust across generations is particularly important. As more diverse generations work together, the potential for misunderstandings increases, but so too does the opportunity for growth. Each generation brings unique strengths to the table. Baby boomers bring experience, wisdom, and a strong work ethic. Gen X brings adaptability, resilience, and a practical approach to problem solving. Millennials bring creativity, innovation, and a willingness to embrace new technologies. And Gen Z brings fresh perspectives, digital fluency, and a drive for social change. These strengths can complement one another, but only if trust is present. When trust is lacking, each generation may view the others as obstacles rather than assets, and the benefits of diversity will be lost. Trust also plays a crucial role in leadership. Leaders who are able to build trust across generations are more likely to inspire loyalty, collaboration, and engagement. This requires leaders to be empathetic, transparent, and open to feedback from all generations. Leaders must create environments where all voices are heard, where people feel safe to share their ideas and opinions without fear of judgment. In order to build trust, leaders must also be willing to lead by example, showing vulnerability and openness in their own actions. This builds a culture of trust, where individuals from different generations feel comfortable working together, sharing ideas, and learning from one another. The ability to build trust across generations is essential in today's rapidly changing world. As the pace of technological advancement continues to accelerate, and as new generations enter the workforce with different expectations and values, the need for trust has never been greater. Trust allows people from different generations to work together effectively, share knowledge, and create innovative solutions to the challenges we face. It is the key to turning generational differences from barriers into opportunities for growth, learning, and collaboration. When trust is present, we can see past our differences and focus on what we can achieve together. Sharing stories is one of the most powerful ways to build bridges across generational divides. Stories have the ability to transcend time, space, and differences, offering a glimpse into the experiences, struggles, and triumphs of others. They humanize us, making us more relatable and breaking down the barriers that separate us. In the context of bridging generational gaps, sharing stories isn't just about recounting personal histories or experiences. It's about creating a space for empathy, understanding, and connection. When we share our stories, we invite others to understand the world through our eyes, and in doing so, we begin to see the world more clearly through theirs. Every generation has its own unique story, shaped by the time and circumstances in which it was raised. The stories of baby boomers, Gen Xers, millennials, and Gen Zers are all influenced by the social, political, and economic landscapes that define their youth. For baby boomers, stories might reflect a time of post-war optimism, economic growth, and social change. For Gen Xers, their stories may center around adapting to a rapidly changing world, balancing independence with the rise of technology. Millennials might share stories of coming of age during the rise of the internet and social media, navigating financial challenges and striving for purpose in their careers. Gen Z, the youngest generation, has grown up in a hyper-connected world, shaped by global crises and rapid technological advancements. When we share these stories, we are not just communicating facts or events, we are sharing the emotions, values, and lessons that came from those experiences. Stories have the power to make abstract concepts real. For example, a boomer's story of growing up in a tight-knit community where everyone knew each other can help millennials and Gen Zers understand the sense of community and stability that was valued during that time. In return, a millennial story of navigating the challenges of student debt and economic uncertainty can give boomers and Gen Xers a deeper understanding of the pressures that younger generations face. These shared experiences, though shaped by different contexts, can create empathy and foster a sense of connection. The act of sharing stories also opens the door for vulnerability. Vulnerability is often seen as a weakness, but in reality it is a strength. When we are vulnerable and share the challenges and setbacks we've faced, we invite others to see us as human beings, not just representatives of our generation. This vulnerability fosters trust and connection, allowing people from different generations to relate to one another on a deeper level. It's through our stories of hardship, triumph, and transformation that we allow others to see the world from our perspective, and in turn, we open ourselves up to understanding theirs. Vulnerability creates a space where empathy can flourish, where we are not just listening to each other, but truly connecting with each other. One of the most significant benefits of sharing stories is that it allows us to see beyond stereotypes. Each generation is often defined by a set of assumptions or labels, many of which are inaccurate or overly simplistic. Baby boomers may be seen as old-fashioned and resistant to change, while millennials and Gen Z may be labeled as entitled or lazy. These stereotypes, though common, often fail to capture the complexity of each generation's experiences and values. By sharing stories, we move beyond these simplistic labels and begin to understand the nuances of each generation's worldview. We begin to see that boomers, for example, may value stability because they grew up in a time of economic prosperity, while millennials might prioritize flexibility because they came of age during a period of economic uncertainty. By telling our stories, we break down the assumptions that divide us and create a more nuanced, empathetic understanding of one another. In the workplace, sharing stories is a powerful tool for fostering collaboration and innovation. When people from different generations share their experiences and knowledge, they bring a diversity of perspectives that can lead to more creative solutions to problems. Each generation has a unique way of thinking and approaching challenges, and by sharing stories, we can tap into that collective wisdom. A boomer's story of perseverance and hard work can inspire Gen Zers, who may be facing a different set of challenges, to keep pushing forward. A millennial's story of using technology to create new opportunities can inspire Gen Xers to embrace innovation in ways they may not have considered. These shared stories create a culture of learning where everyone benefits from the experiences of others. Another powerful aspect of storytelling is its ability to build community. Stories connect us to others who have similar experiences or values, creating a sense of belonging. For generations that have grown up in different times and faced different challenges, storytelling provides a way to find common ground and create a shared sense of identity. When we listen to each other's stories, we begin to see that despite our differences, we share common human experiences: joy, pain, love, loss, triumph, and failure. These universal themes transcend age, background, and culture, reminding us that we are all part of the same human story. The act of sharing stories is an invitation to connect, learn, and grow together. When we share our stories, we not only educate others about our experiences, but we also create a space for understanding, empathy, and collaboration. Through storytelling, we begin to bridge the gaps between generations, transforming differences into opportunities for connection and growth. It is through the exchange of stories that we build the bridges that unite us, creating a future where each generation can learn from the past, build on the present, and shape a better tomorrow. Technology has rapidly transformed the way we live, work, and communicate, but it has also played a significant role in widening the generational gap. With each new technological advancement, different generations have had varying degrees of exposure and adaptation, creating a divide between those who have grown up with technology and those who have had to adapt to it. While younger generations have embraced technology as a natural part of their daily lives, older generations have had to navigate the complexities of new digital tools, often leading to feelings of confusion, frustration, or even exclusion. However, rather than seeing this as a barrier, the key to bridging the generational gap lies in the way we approach technology, with patience, empathy, and a willingness to learn from one another. The rise of technology has created an environment where information is readily available at our fingertips, communication is instant, and the boundaries between work and personal life have become increasingly blurred. For younger generations, this constant connectivity has become a defining feature of their lives. From social media platforms to smartphones, technology has shaped the way they form relationships, consume information, and navigate the world. For Gen Z, who has never known a world without the internet, technology is seamlessly integrated into every aspect of their lives. They are digital natives, comfortable with navigating the complexities of online spaces and using technology to engage with the world around them. Technology is not just a tool for them, it is a way of life. In contrast, older generations, such as baby boomers and Gen X, grew up in a world where technology was not as pervasive. While they have certainly witnessed and adapted to the rise of the digital age, they were raised in environments where face-to-face communication and analog tools were the norm. For baby boomers, who came of age in a time before personal computers and the internet, the rapid pace of technological change can feel overwhelming. For Gen X, who experienced the transition from analog to digital, there is a sense of adaptability, but also a degree of discomfort when it comes to mastering the latest technologies. For these generations, technology can often feel like an external force, one that requires constant learning and adjustment. This generational divide when it comes to technology is often seen as a source of friction, especially in the workplace. Younger generations may expect instantaneous communication, while older generations may prefer more traditional forms of interaction, such as phone calls or in-person meetings. This difference in communication styles can lead to misunderstandings and frustration, with each generation feeling that the other is not fully embracing the benefits of technology. For example, a millennial may feel that a boomer is resisting the use of email or instant messaging, while the boomer may feel overwhelmed by the constant stream of emails or text messages they receive. This gap in technological fluency can also impact collaboration and efficiency, as each generation may approach problem solving and project management in different ways. However, while technology may initially seem like a dividing force, it also has the potential to bring generations together. The key to bridging the generational gap in the digital age lies in recognizing that technology, when used thoughtfully, can enhance communication, collaboration, and connection. Instead of focusing on the differences in how each generation uses technology, the focus should be on how each generation can learn from one another and adapt their approach to create more effective ways of working and communicating. For example, older generations can offer younger generations valuable perspectives on the importance of face-to-face communication, emotional intelligence, and building relationships. They can also provide wisdom and experience that can help guide younger generations through the complexities of navigating the digital world. In turn, younger generations can teach older generations how to leverage technology to improve efficiency, stay connected, and embrace new tools that can make their lives easier. They can show them how to use social media platforms to stay in touch with family members, how to navigate online resources for learning and personal growth, and how to utilize apps and digital tools to manage their time and work more effectively. The key to this exchange is a mindset of curiosity and willingness to teach and learn. Rather than viewing technology as a source of division, both generations can approach it as an opportunity for mutual growth. Older generations can mentor younger generations in areas like leadership, resilience, and decision-making, while younger generations can provide support in navigating new technology and platforms. By fostering an environment of intergenerational learning, both groups can come to understand the strengths and limitations of their respective approaches to technology, ultimately creating a more balanced and productive relationship with it. Empathy is one of the most powerful tools we have in bridging the generational divide. When we take the time to truly understand the experiences, challenges, and perspectives of others, we open the door to meaningful connections that transcend age, background, and worldview. Empathy allows us to see beyond stereotypes and preconceived notions, and it fosters an environment where different generations can collaborate, learn from one another, and build stronger relationships. In a world where generational divides often seem to grow wider with each passing year, empathy provides the common ground where we can find understanding, respect, and common purpose. Generational divides are often fueled by a lack of understanding. Each generation grows up in a unique set of circumstances, social, political, economic, and technological, that shapes their worldview. Baby boomers, for example, were raised during a time of post-war optimism and economic growth, where hard work and traditional values were central to success. Gen X grew up in a more skeptical, uncertain time, marked by the rise of technology and the emergence of new cultural trends. Millennials came of age during the rise of the internet and digital technology, leading to a sense of global interconnectedness, but also economic instability and uncertainty. Gen Z, the youngest generation, has grown up in a hyper-connected world, shaped by social media, climate change, and rapid technological innovation. Each generation's experiences create a set of beliefs, values, and expectations that are often difficult for other generations to fully comprehend. This disconnect is where empathy becomes crucial. At its core, empathy is the ability to put ourselves in someone else's shoes, to understand their emotions, experiences, and point of view. When it comes to bridging generational gaps, empathy requires us to move beyond our own perspectives and take the time to understand the world as it is seen through the eyes of others. This might mean listening carefully to the concerns of older generations, understanding the challenges they face in a rapidly changing world, or it might mean acknowledging the struggles of younger generations as they navigate a complex, often uncertain future. Empathy helps us see that each generation's concerns are valid, that their fears and aspirations are rooted in real experiences and emotions. One of the key aspects of empathy is active listening. To truly understand another generation's perspective, we must listen attentively, without judgment or assumption. In today's fast-paced world, it can be easy to dismiss ideas or perspectives that don't align with our own. However, when we take the time to listen without interrupting or forming responses before the other person has finished speaking, we open the door to deeper understanding. Active listening requires patience and humility. It means putting aside our own biases and being open to hearing things that may challenge our assumptions. By listening actively, we show that we value the other person's perspective, and we create space for meaningful dialogue that can lead to greater understanding. Empathy also requires us to recognize that different generations may have different ways of expressing themselves, especially when it comes to emotions or concerns. Older generations may have grown up in environments where emotional expression was more restrained, while younger generations, particularly millennials and Gen Z, are often more open about discussing mental health, vulnerability, and personal struggles. This difference in communication styles can sometimes lead to misunderstandings, as one generation may view the other as either too reserved or too emotionally open. Empathy requires us to recognize these differences not as shortcomings, but as cultural shifts, shaped by the unique circumstances each generation has faced. By understanding why these differences exist, we can avoid judgment and instead approach the situation with compassion. In the workplace, empathy plays a vital role in fostering collaboration and innovation. Teams composed of individuals from different generations can be incredibly powerful, but only if empathy is present. Each generation brings a unique set of strengths to the table. Baby boomers may offer experience, wisdom, and a strong work ethic, while Gen X brings adaptability and a pragmatic approach to problem solving. Millennials bring creativity, innovation, and a deep understanding of digital technology, while Gen Z offers fresh perspectives and a strong desire for social change. However, without empathy, these strengths may be overlooked and conflicts can arise. By fostering an environment where empathy is valued, we create a space where individuals from all generations feel heard, respected, and appreciated. When people feel understood, they are more likely to collaborate, share ideas, and work together toward common goals. Empathy is also crucial in addressing the challenges that arise when different generations work together. Misunderstandings about work ethics, communication styles, and expectations can create tension, especially when one generation feels that the other is not pulling its weight or is too slow to adapt. For example, younger generations may value flexibility and work-life balance, while older generations may place more emphasis on face time and traditional work hours. Without empathy, these differences can lead to frustration and resentment. However, when empathy is present, we can recognize that each generation's expectations are rooted in different experiences, and we can find ways to meet in the middle. By understanding that younger generations may prioritize personal well-being because they've seen the effects of burnout in their parents and older colleagues, and that older generations may value stability because they've worked through economic downturns, we can find solutions that accommodate both perspectives. Empathy is the bridge that connects generations. It allows us to see beyond the surface level differences and to understand the human experiences that shape our beliefs and behaviors. Empathy helps us move past judgment, fostering an environment where every generation's perspective is valued. By practicing empathy, we can create a culture of mutual respect and collaboration, where the strengths of each generation are celebrated and the gaps between them are bridged. But to unlock that potential, we have to stop focusing on the differences and start focusing on what we have in common. And the only way to do that is by creating spaces for dialogue, for sharing, for truly hearing each other out. Bridging generational gaps isn't about finding a solution that satisfies everyone. It's about coming together to create a solution that works for everyone. It's about building trust, one conversation at a time. It's about understanding that each generation has a piece of the puzzle, and when we put those pieces together, we create something greater than the sum of its parts. So the next time you feel the gap between generations growing wider, take a step back, listen, share, trust, and most importantly, remember that we're all in this together. Thank you.